Okay, welcome to our 2-year anniversary of owning our property. It was actually a few days ago, but this is the first time I get to actually do a video. So I'm doing it today. It's about partially cloudy. It's in the mid 60s. There's a little bit of wind. And so it's really nice for us right now. We closed on the property April 22nd, 2022. And this is 2024. What you're looking at here is the road that connects to our street here. We live on a dirt road. So let me pan around real quick. And there's the dirt road in the other direction. This is scheduled to get widened by the county maybe in the next few years. So we shall see. Before we started, I also wanted to show you because we're on a dirt road, we have a road scraper that comes through that scrapes the road about once a week to once every 2 weeks. And there's an attachment on the vehicle that does that also increases the ditch. So they actually did that earlier this week. So the ditch got a little bit of a deepening, so to speak. And the reason for that is we are very, very flat. We live in Horry County, South Carolina, which is the county where Myrtle Beach is. And there's just not a lot of elevation change. So it's rained about 2.5 inches to 3 inches in the last week. And so the water's got to go somewhere. So in the ditch it goes. We have sandy soil, which means that it permeates through the ground fairly quickly. So it only lasts a few days and then it's typically gone. And then here it is on the other side of the road here. So without further ado, let's start. If you look in front of us and you see the couple of flags right there, which is that is the corner of our property. We had it surveyed back in November. And so we have a complete topo survey of the entire property. And so this is the wooded part of the property here. So nothing is really going to change here. And so we'll just keep walking. I want to do these videos every year, at least as long as we're doing different things to the property. So Andre and I can go back later and see where we were and what all we accomplished in what year. And so this is where we're going. All right, it's about right here that the field starts on the other side of the little tree line right here. And so if you can see above the little tree line right there, that's the field that has our house and then the farmer and everything, which we'll get to in a minute. Then we have coming up here, I don't know if you can actually see it, but if you look right there, there's our carport that we got earlier this year. So that was not here last year. And so coming across here, we're coming up on the first major change from last year. Andrea's mother was here last year, and she had been in Arizona all winter, but she's back now. And so if you look at all the debris here, let me go to regular zoom, and you see all this. This was all just brush and vines and dead stuff. And we had some tree people come out and they took care of it about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so there's still a couple of stumps that they have to come in. They've been having issues with their stump grinder. So they get out here, they work for a couple hours, and then the thing breaks on them again. So you can see, let me zoom in a little bit. You can see Sherlock's right there. He's inside the fence. There's Lady Pants. And they are obviously inside the fence area. Our fence area is about almost a half of an acre. We own 9 acres. About 7 of it is former and current field, and the other 2 acres are tree area. And so now we're coming up on the west side, northwest side of the property. So there's a stake right there. That stake is right next to the actual pin that's in the ground. I just put that there so I knew where the actual property line was. So let me go in on the inside and then we'll continue. Okay, I am on the west side of the property now. It's obviously on the north side of the property because there's the road right there. And so you can see here where we took out that brush and overgrowth area. Over here last year we had planted plums, figs, and peach trees. Well, come to find out, the soil is too acidic for that. So we dug all the trees up and we gave them to a friend of ours, which has better soil, because it's going to take us a while to amend the soil, and we didn't want the trees to die, so we gave them to her. And so we planted a bunch of blueberries in here. And if you don't know anything about blueberries, blueberries love acidic soil. The soil in this area averages about 5.3 pH. Neutral is 7. Most plants like between 6 and 7, but blueberries thrive in 5 pH, and they can go all the way down to 4 pH. So we have a bunch of blueberries here and a bunch of blueberries on the bottom side over there. Those are, I think those are the early ones, and these are the mid ones here, which means Andre wanted to get blueberries that some of them would bloom earlier and produce fruit earlier, and some of them would produce fruit later. As you can see right here, there's the ditch I created. What was happening last year, because in 2022, it was between, we never really, well, we didn't live here, so it was about 40 minutes on a good day to get up here from where we lived. So we would only come up about once a week, because I hate traffic. And if you know anything about Myrtle Beach sucks traffic-wise. And so we'd only come up here about once a year, and it was really dry that summer. Well, then we moved up here in September of 22, and everything was fine, but then it started raining a lot last spring. And what was happening is our backyard would be flooded. And flooding here is different than flooding in normal areas, because the ground's just so flat, the water just runs off. And then once the water runs off, it's between runs off and then soaks into the ground. But for a while there, it floods pretty decent. Well, come to find out, the high part of the property is the southwest corner, which we're coming up to now. And in the southwest corner, we have about a 5-foot elevation change. So here's where the pin is, right here in the southwest corner. And as you can see, the back of the property there. And so it's about 5 feet higher from here than over in the far corner where the trees are. And when we get over there, you'll see water on the ground, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. but water was shedding from the entire part of the field up here to down where the chicken coop is located. Then it was coming across our backyard, and then we're winding its way over to the corner. So what we wanted to do is to get a swale put in to hopefully stop it from doing that. And we haven't had any monsoons, but we've had a few of them, and so far it's been pretty successful, where you can see the water starting to pile up in the field, and then it starts shutting down, but then it goes into the swale, and it gets kicked out to the end of the swale. Now, we're not done with it, as you'll see in a couple minutes, but it's at least a start. Now, the field here, we have the farmer that's been farming this for the last 50 years or so. He said he's continuing to farm this. It's about 5 acres, and you know, he's not going to get rich off of it, but he farms everything around us. So it's not like he has to bring the equipment out to specifically farm this small piece of property. He just is able to, while he's there, he's able to do this. And with the machinery that he has, he can do what he needs to do in about an hour. So if he cultivates, it takes him about an hour to cultivate. If he plants, that's about an hour. Harvest, about an hour, etc. And so it's not really that much time, and he can get a little bit of extra money. And so as long as we don't need to really do anything with it, we'll just let him do it. Now, I'm at the southeast corner right now, and the stake is still in the ground over here. I wasn't able to show this last year because he had already cultivated by the time we had done the video. And so this is actually the corner of our property, which is right here. And so a little itty bitty bit of this field is actually our property. Now, in reality, I don't really care. You know, I'm not going to haggle over, 30 feet by 50 feet. And then they maintain this, the farmer maintains this so he can go back and forth. And then all this is our trees here. I did an in-depth video last year where I went through the wooded area, and it's about 100 to 150 feet deep, and it's very peaceful back there. But you also, I don't want to be there in the summertime either, because I got to deal with bugs and snakes and stuff. Not that I don't mind snakes, but the bugs I could live without. And so now we're on the east side, and as you can tell, all of this is pretty much about the same from what we're doing now. And so the guys are still outside. Andre had to do a couple of things, and she was going to be out. One of our chickens decided to go broody again. So Andre's trying to have a conversation with her about not going broody, and that's not working out very well. So what we're doing here is walking down to the end of the field part, because this is pretty much the same as it's been now, and the same as it's been the last, as long as I could remember. Horry County just updated their GIS, and there's actually a 1998 satellite image that goes over this area. It's black and white, but the resolutions on it's pretty good. So we can see what everything looked like at that point. Okay, so here's the bottom of the swale right here. And there's about, I want to say about a 2.5 foot drop from the top down to here. But it's over about 400 feet, so it's very small drop. So trying to get the water to shed in the direction that we want is challenging. Sherlock is actually digging in dirt right now, but I'm not going to complain at him. Now, as you can see here, this is one of the big additions that we've done, is we decided to start a garden and actually a farm. And so we have 1,000 elephant garlic, 1,000 onions, we have beets, we have potatoes there on the right, we have carrots, we have cabbage, but I don't think any of them came up. And then we have the rest of the stuff on the inside that's still growing. That's what I call the afterfrost stuff, like the squash, the tomatoes, melons, that type of thing. And then, so all that is new. We actually tilled all the way over to the end of the fence over here, but that ended up being overgrown because we were just wanting to test the tiller out, and this is where the afterfrost stuff is going. As you can see here, here's the low spot right here from the rain. So the long-term goal is to take that swale over there, jackknife it, turn towards this direction, and take it all the way over to here, and then take it out this way, because the ground falls fairly quick over here. And so if we can do that, then hopefully we can guide the water to where it's not going to pond up anywhere. Now we have, in the process, we have altered the hydrology, so to speak, where the water would shed a certain direction, now it's shedding somewhere else, so we're creating other problems. But the problems aren't that bad. I wanted to show this. All the brush and garbage that we had taken up is right there. And so one good thing about owning 9 acres with trees is you can have brush piles. This is a mound of dirt that we got last year that we need to do something with at some point. There's another mound. We took 5 trees out last year, which was in that same area. And that's one of the trees. All right, here's our nice carport here. And we also got a tractor. And so the tractor has a backhoe on it. We also got a tiller. We got a box blade, which is around here somewhere. And then we got our lawnmower, which is here. And then we have our yard cart, which can connect to the back of the mower. While we're doing the strawing down, which is what we're doing now, we have to get all the weeds out. And so we take the buckets, put the weeds in the buckets, put it in the yard cart, and then we either dump it in the woods or we dump it in the chicken coop, one of the two. So either the sisters have fun or the wildlife has fun. Here is an 1.5 inch pipe that's left over. We did this about a month and a half ago, where you can see the remnants of the trench right there. We dug about a 360, 380 foot trench and put this 1.5 inch pipe in it. And then we have 3 of these Iowas here. These are freezeless, which means it's in a closed position and there's nothing attached to it. So the entire vertical part of the pipe has no water in it. And as long as the bottom part of the pipe is below the frost line, then it will not freeze. This design's like 100 years old or almost, and they pretty much haven't changed it. and it can produce a serious amount of water. So that is about 16 gallons a minute. Yeah, it's about 16 gallons a minute that's coming out through there. And so if we had dropped it and gone to a 1-inch pipe instead of 1.5-inch pipe, then instead of 16 gallons a minute, we would have had maybe 5 or 6. And so let me zoom back for a second. Okay, so there's the carport. The carport is 24 feet wide, 20 feet deep, and the leg height, which is where the roof starts, is 8 feet tall. And so the tractor to the top of the bar is 7 feet tall, so it obviously fits there. In Horry County, you can have a structure up to 200 square feet without a permit. That was 400 and something square feet, so we had to get a permit for that. Our shed, on the other hand, is just under 200 square feet, and so we did not need a permit. Lady Pants came over to see me. Lady Pants, you want to say hi to everybody? She's like, nope. All right, so last year, I forget, I think we had the tent there at some point. We had a 10 by 10 Shelter Logic tent, and it worked great. And then we started having a bunch of wind, and short version is we had a really bad windstorm and it just ripped it and just tore it to shreds. And so we were thinking about getting a carport at that point, and that kind of sealed the deal. So the tent was right there where our kennel is. So we moved the kennel. The kennel was where the carport is. So we took the tent out, moved the kennel over to here. And so we have our things that we just want to have tidied up, but not necessarily, they don't need to be in the shed. Like we have T-posts over there and tomato cages and that type of thing. Those can be left outside, but you know, we don't necessarily have to have them in the shed, but I don't want them to be Sanford and Son all over the place. There's Andrea's mother's shed. Her shed was about 20 years old and had been moved several times and was about falling apart. Plus it was too small. So she got a bigger one, and Andrea and I spent an entire weekend putting that thing together. So let me tell you how fun that is. And the chicken coop, if I remember correctly, was not finished when I did the video last year. I wanted to watch the video from last year so I could remember exactly what had changed. Then everything got too busy and I didn't, so I'm just remembering. But the chicken coop, I think, was done around the beginning of May. And so we built a chicken tractor to go onto it, and that chicken tractor can move. And so the chicken tractor is 8 by 16. We have a tarp to go over it so it can actually move all around. We have casters on it, and they're not pneumatic, so we don't have to worry about them going flat. But I think that's about it for this year. So the guys have been out for a while, so they're nice and hot. Had to cough there for a second. We had our whiskey barrels last year, which we had potatoes in, and because we were going to do whiskey barrel potatoes, but then bugs ate them and destroyed all of our potatoes, and so we've repurposed them. We have different types of lettuces growing in these right now. And so you're probably thinking, why do you have lettuce out exposed and you don't even have a fence or anything? Aren't you concerned about animals coming through and getting these? Well, in the middle of all these, like this is romaine lettuce, is a rosemary plant. And deer and rabbit hate rosemary. They hate rosemary so much that they will leave all this lettuce alone because that one single rosemary is there. We've done this with oregano in the past, and pretty much they will leave it alone. So if you want to have lettuce or something that deer or rabbits or whatever love, then get some kind of fragrant herb, and they'll leave it alone. You can use other things than rosemary. They say you can use mint, but I would not use mint because mint will be invasive, which means that you'll put your mint down and then the mint will escape, and then the next thing you know, you have a whole entire front yard full of mint. The rosemary obviously won't. And as long as they're well drained, then the rosemary will thrive. Now, that rosemary dies, then, you know, it's going to be fair game at that point. But this was not a video on the lettuce. We also, thinking about it, we extended the drive a little bit so we can put the trailer here. I tried to put the trailer in the carport, but the carport ran out of room real quick. So we just left it that the trailer will be outside instead of underneath the carport. But I think that's it for this year. I say that's it. It's been a lot of work, but I call it a good kind of work. It's like we have the pipe that we ran, but that's a one and done, which means we've done it, it works, and unless there's some issue in the future, we don't ever have to deal with it again. And several things, we got that chicken tractor, we have the carport. I got to use the tractor to actually spread all of the gravel down for the carport. And so that was one of the first things I did with the tractor, is we wanted to have that carport so we could have a home for it. So we had the tractor build the base for it. Now we had somebody actually come in and install the carport. You could buy a carport kit where they just dump the materials off and you build it yourself, or you could have them do it. And believe it or not, it was actually cheaper to have them build it than it was to buy the kit of the same exact thing. So the guys want to go in, so I'm going to be quiet now. But this is the end of year 2. So let's see what's going to happen next year.